Street Talk with your host Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, alright here. Oh, simply straight talk.
You know what? I decided that relationships are just too hard. I give up. I'm done.
All right, let me hear it. What happened? Did things go bad already?
Go bad? It went from sunny Florida to Antarctica. I mean, dealing with this woman is like trying to dig a dry hole in the bottom of the ocean with a shovel.
Okay, you know you exaggerating the situation. So you had no part to play in the relationship falling apart.
You're supposed to be my homegirl. Why are you always going against me?
As your homie, it's my responsibility to have your back, but also keep it 100, whether you're wrong or right. Besides, you know your butt got some crazy ways.
See, that's why I got mad respect for you. But you in the homie timeout for right now.
We have a great show for you today. So let's get the show started with your host, Reggie Maddox.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Simply Straight Talk Show. This is your host, Reggie Maddox. And today, we're going to be talking about getting relationships right. You heard me, getting relationships right. Now, I know a lot of people discuss this topic, but I want to do something different. I want to take it from a different perspective. We all know what happens in a relationship once it gets down the line. Things start to change. People, mentality starts to change. Old things start to come up. People start to get on each other's nerves. But what if there was a way that you could probably prevent some of that stuff from occurring in order to have a more successful and happy relationship? Now, as this topic came about, I was starting to think, man, like what is it about relationships that when they fail, are the things that we could have initiated in the beginning stages to help preserve the relationship, or maybe prevent some of the arguments and some of the drama that takes place down the line? Everybody says that relationships are hard. Relationship takes work. Now, I agree with that to an extent, but I also feel like maybe we're putting too much emphasis on the fact that relationships take so much work. Because I think in the initial stages, I think we're missing some things. I think there are some things that either we are not doing, not saying, or, there are steps that we are not taking, so that by the time we get into the actual relationship, we skip steps 1 through 8 and decided that we just wanted to jump into step 10, 9, 10, and some of us are skipping steps 1 through 20 and jumping in. So what I want to do today is I just want to talk about some of the things that happens in a relationship to where in the initial stages, some of the things that we need to consider, some of the things that we need to talk about. Now, I want to ask you something. I want you to think about something as we dive into this conversation. I want you to think about the relationship that you have been in. Think about the initial dating process. Think about if you go back and you really think about the first time you met this person, were there the things you felt like, man, we didn't really discuss that. We never really talked about that. We never really, got involved in certain areas or discussed certain topics or really sat down and worked out the nuts and bolts of this in the beginning stages. Because oftentimes when we start dating, we're so caught up in the euphoric moment of, hey, it's a nice moment. Maybe you just want to take a break from the real world, maybe the craziness of your job. So you just need something or somebody, that's going to kind of put you in the mindset of, listen, we're not going to think about the world today. We're just going to enjoy the moment. And that's what you're doing. You're enjoying the moment. And as you get into it, you kind of feel like, oh, this is nice. I like this. So it all seems like everything is okay and great. And like I said, what ends up happening is you're skipping steps 1 through 10 and you're jumping ahead. So today, let's look at some of those things. Let's talk about some of the things that occur when people start dating. And I want you to think about your dates. Think about the dates that you've been on. I don't want to bring up any bad memories now. Let's not go back to bad memories. But basically, if you could correct some of the things, or if you think about some of the things that happened when you initially started dating, who you're with now, or somebody you're with, or just think about, we're just looking at this from a corrective standpoint. Like, you know what? I think we would have discussed this or talked about this. So let's start off with this. The first meeting is probably one of the most important meetings, because the first meeting when you go out on a date with somebody, that very first date, you're setting the stage. That's what you're doing, because you're setting the stage. The man wants to impress the woman. The woman wants to impress the man. You both want to feel comfortable. And you're kind of hoping like, hey, I hope this works out. That's why I'm on this date. This is a cool person. Let me see where this can go. Now, there's a lot of different directions you can go in with this. But we all agree that on the first date, both people want to impress each other. Both people want to set the stage to where there's going to be another date and possibly a long-term future relationship. Now, if you're dating, that should be the goal. You're looking for a long-term future relationship. Now, here's where the issues start to come in. Because when you're dating, you want to impress this person. And initially, you may talk about surface things, because I get it. You just met this person. You don't really know each other that well. So you're not going to dig too deep into each other's, life, or what's going on or what's taking place. So now, you're on the date, kind of feeling each other out, kind of trying to see where things are going to go. But the problem occurs when maybe you thinking like, man, my financial situation, because this is the things that people think about sometimes when they're on dates. You could be on a date with somebody. They can be laughing. They can be smiling. You can feel like, wow, this is a positive, happy person. But inside they're thinking, man, my financial situation right now is not good. Right now, I'm sort of in between jobs. I might be doing, some temporary work just to hold me over. But my current situation, I'm not really sure. And it's the same thing for a man or woman. A woman can feel like, still dealing with this ex or trying to sort this stuff out. I'm about to lose my apartment and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So it's a lot of things that can kind of play in a person's mind. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things that can be going on that first date that they're thinking about, but trying not to think about. So here's where the issue comes in. Now you have to deal with, this person's asking questions like, well, where do you work? Do you like your job? How long you been there? Those are like the surface level date questions you ask, because you're trying to feel out like, is this person working? Are they stable? You know what I'm saying? You're trying to get a little bit of insight about them, your last relationship, all this type stuff. But the problem comes in is when now you might feel embarrassed. You might feel ashamed about your current situation. You might feel embarrassed about your last relationship. You could have been the one that cheated, but you could have been dating somebody who treated you like crap. So let's say she was dating a guy and she treated the guy like he was a king for 2 to 3 years. They was together. But he treated her like crap. And finally, she just cheated one night. Now, for her to say that she cheated, she's going to be labeled as the bad one and the reason for the breakup. It could be the same thing for a man. He could have been dating a woman that could have been treating him bad, and he could have just walked out and left. Like he ended the relationship. But some people say, well, you just ended it. You didn't talk to her. So there's a lot of stuff goes into that. But the thing about it is you're embarrassed. You may not feel comfortable talking about your situation. So when the person asks you about it, your response is going to be, oh, yeah, everything is good. Yeah, the job is good. Oh, yeah. Last relationship I was no problem, ended it. I haven't dated in a while. It's been a while. I ain't dated in 2 years. So basically, tell the truth, you're telling a lie is what it is. You don't want to discuss the situation or something that they're asking because you're embarrassed. So you either lie that it didn't happen, you lie about the way it happened, or you lie about how it's currently affecting you. So because of that, you're kind of creating a false idea, or, you're giving them a false sense of comfort about a situation that you're currently dealing with. And we get into the problem of, well, my point is this. When you go on that first date, you're setting the stage. And as you're setting the stage, what you say on that first date, you need to keep it as truthful as possible. And it should be truthful. But the problem occurs is when we become embarrassed about a situation, we're embarrassed about, what we're doing or what we're trying to do or where we are in life at that point. So what we do is we tell a lie to kind of hide something. But the problem occurs is when that lie comes back and we have to deal with it. Because that person leaves the date thinking that, wow, you know what? She's a great lady. She's got herself together and, she's got her own place. She's doing her own thing. She's making her way back. This is great. This is what I wanted. A woman who has herself together and a woman who's confident about herself. But not knowing that she lied about some things, not because she wanted to mislead him, which is what, it ultimately is what you did, but it was out of embarrassment. And sometimes people will not be able to understand that you were just embarrassed about your situation, that you did not want to say it, and we've had this happen. We've had this happen in more, let's say, traumatic situations where, say, a woman was raped and end up having a child, and when the guy starts asking questions about the father, the woman doesn't want to talk about it. So it leads to conflicts down the road because it was never mentioned. So, and it's the same thing when it comes to men. A man can have a traumatic situation that he had to deal with. He doesn't want to talk about it. But the problem arises when you go on that first date and you're saying things that can come back and end up kicking you in the butt because your partner is going to feel like, oh, you lied to me. Everything you said was a lie. So they're feeling like you don't trust them. That first date is what you use to build upon the rest of the dates and the future, especially if the two of you hit it off. You're feeling good. But if they come back to find out that you have been lying about things that occurred on the first date, then you're going to run into the problem of them not trusting you, them feeling like everything you said was a lie. And they're not going to understand your reasons for not wanting to share or not wanting to divulge the truth about what was going on with you. And I understand that. I see both sides because I'm a private person. So for me to reveal my personal life to you, it means that I have to really trust you. And I don't have people in my life like that, to be honest. I mean, it's like maybe two people. Only one that I can go full all in. Look, this is what I'm going through. But a lot of people don't feel comfortable throwing that out there like that. Some people put their whole life out there. They do it on Facebook, social media. They advertise their whole life. But other people don't. And you can have a person, like I said, they're embarrassed. They don't know how to explain it. They don't know how to share it. So when you do that on the initial date, basically you're setting yourself up for failure. Because your partner has to come to terms with the fact that, well, you told me this, and this is not true. You told me that, but that is not true. So what is the truth about this? And who are you really? Because now we're starting to wonder, do I really know you? What else have you been lying about? So this goes back to the beginning of the show when I was telling you that sometimes we create problems or we initiate problems in the beginning that we had no idea that we could have prevented them simply by being a little more honest in the initial meetings. On the first couple of dates when you are having those discussions, you have to be truthful about where you are and what you're doing, where you're going, what's your current situation. Because if you don't, you are setting yourself up for problems. I mean, think about it. How many times have you went on a first date and you knew that the person asked you a question, but you were not comfortable answering the question? So you kind of manipulated the story to kind of go a different way. So how do you deal with that? How do you manage that? Because you don't want to be embarrassed. You kind of feel also like, well, if I tell them the entire truth, they may not want to date me. They may walk away. They may leave. So how do you deal with it? How do you go about handling that? Because you don't want to lose the person. You don't want the person to feel like, you know what I'm saying, like you're a liar. But then again, you do have a right to your privacy. You shouldn't have to divulge everything if you don't feel comfortable, but yet not divulging everything to somebody that you're looking to build a relationship with can have a negative backlash on you down the line. This is where we get into sometimes, problems can be averted if we understand that we got to have good communication on the initial date. So basically, you ever heard the old saying that sometimes people send a false representative when they go out? You're not meeting the person, you're meeting the representative. So how often on dates do we do this? How often on dates do people fail to talk about who they are and tell you the truth about what's going on and how that impacts the date down the line? Well, you know what? Stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to get further into this, all right? Because we got to talk about this. All right, this is Reggie, and we will be right back with more of the Simply Straight Talk Show as we are talking about dating. And we're talking about why relationships fail. So we're taking it back to the get-go. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We'll be back with your host, Reggie, on Simply Straight Talk.
Hello, Simply Straight Talk family. If you are enjoying this episode, at the end of the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. And why not share this with a friend? Also, visit our blog at newlifenewmind.com, where you can find additional articles on more great topics. Stay tuned. The show will continue right after this message.
Free your mind, free your voice right here on Simply Straight Talk.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the second part of the Simply Straight Talk Show with your host, Reggie Maddox, keeping the conversations going. Today, we're talking about getting relationships right. Now, we're talking about getting relationships right from the jump. Right from point A. This is what we're talking about. Because there are a lot of things that people do on the initial meetings that set the relationship up for failure. And oftentimes we don't think about it because there's all the uncertainty. Is this going to be a long lasting date? Am I going to see this person again? Will there be a second date? Is there a future with this person? So because of that, and there's no guarantee, and there's always the choice of listen, I'm not going to see this person again, so it may not matter. Or you may feel like, you know what? This person looked good. They're not going to like me. And, it wasn't a good date. They're not going to want a second date. So you pretty much say anything or give any impression, or you may work harder to make this person actually feel like they like you. You know what I'm saying? So you can get that positive vibe from them. Now, so here's what we're going to talk about. When it comes to that initial date, we talked in the first segment about how people that when they start dating, sometimes they may exaggerate the truth about themselves. They may exaggerate the truth about their situation. It doesn't always mean that their situation is in dire straits. It just may mean that they may not be in the best position right now. But that could mean in 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, or within a year, they could have turned their situation around and they can be on better ground. So it doesn't mean that they're drowning. But the thing about it is, we're oftentimes embarrassed by our current situations, especially when you're talking to somebody that you're really interested in, you really like, and they seem to be stable. Their life is good. Everything is going great. So you're feeling like, I can't just come in here and just be open and honest, listen, I'm dealing with a little bit of debt. My car payment is behind. Or maybe you lost your job because the company went out of business or they laid everybody off. And now you're just in the recovery stage. Now, some people say that there's a certain time you shouldn't date. I sort of disagree with that. I'm not saying that there are times when you should probably refrain from dating. Like if you've been through a heartbreak or you've been through a recent breakup or you're still dealing with emotional things, that's one thing. But when you're dealing with things such as, let's say you're stable. Emotionally, you're good. You're good emotionally. But say you've been out of work and you've been trying to find work and now you're transitioning to a new job. So you're getting back on your feet. You're putting things back together. So something like that, a person may not feel good about talking about or saying, like, listen, I'm trying to catch up. Because you know how some people are. Oh, you got to get yourself together. You got to pay this off, do this, do that. But you just have to remember this, that you have to be honest. Because you don't want to get into a situation where you meet somebody and you're making your situation sound like everything is fine, everything is good. Then all of a sudden when you start going out down the line or, they'll start, oh, I can't really do this. My money's not right. Or I can't really do this. Or maybe you told them that you were set in this job and you really didn't have that job. You're just doing something temporary, but you were just hoping that it will become something permanent. So I think a lot of the times, man, we're just not honest enough about where we are in life, about our current situation. We're not honest enough. And because of that, it creates a problem down the line. And like we said earlier, it creates distrust. It creates confusion. It creates drama. Because people actually begin to feel like they want nothing to do with you because they feel like you've been lying from get-go. From the jump, you've been nothing but a liar. Now, some people might sit down and listen to you and say, you know what? Let me hear why you told this lie. Some people are like, you know what? I don't even want to deal with it. Don't want to hear it because you're just going to lie to me some more. So that's what I'm saying. The initial part of dating, man, is so important. And I think people miss out on that. Now, I'm not saying that you got to be an open book and disclose everything on the first date. Because I'll be honest with you, there's times when I remember I dated this one person. Well, we was talking. We were dating, but we was talking. And at that point in my life, I was really going through something. So it was really tough because she was asking the right questions. But I was too embarrassed to give the right answer. So I really just kept trying to avoid the conversation, or I was manipulating the answer to where it was like a half truth. And it was just fortunate for me that, it just sort of died down. It never, the relationship never escalated into anything, because for me to have to go back and backtrack on everything I was saying, because it was a lie. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I was homeless. You know what I'm saying? And even though I know my situation was turning around, how do you tell somebody that? How do you tell somebody, listen, I'm homeless right now, but I am working. I have a job. I'm trying to do this. But how do you get somebody to understand that you're not a bum? You're somebody that's trying to make a difference. You're trying to do something in your life. You're getting everything together. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you like a person that just living you're living on the street, but you're this person like you're going to an 8-hour job. You're trying to get your finances right. And some people don't want to hear that. If you don't have the big house, if you don't have the big car, they don't want to deal with you. Even though their situation is no better than yours. But they want you to bring the mansion and the castle. And anything less is unacceptable. So that's sort of the issue right now. That's the problem I think we have with dating, is oftentimes we are embarrassed. We are ashamed of our situations. So when we make that first meeting and we do those first couple of dates where we're supposed to be getting to know each other, everybody's holding back. And it's not, you know your situation, but you don't know how the other person is going to react or respond to you really telling them the truth about your situation. Because I had this friend named Steven, and we worked at a university together. And it was real funny because every summer they would have these camps. And this one camp had this young lady counselor, man. She was nice. She was nice. And both me and Steve was kind of like, dude, both of us wanted to holler. And I was like, man, how boys are like, the dude you saw first is yours. You know what I'm saying? I'm stepping back. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do, bro. So Steve went to holler at her. You know what I'm saying? So he straight off the bat told her, like, listen, I don't make a lot of money. I work here doing security. I work a part-time job. So I got my own place, but it's just me trying to make it. So, I'm not a fancy guy. I don't have a lot of things. I can't give you everything, but I give you what I can. I do my best. He said, but that's just me. So I'm just trying to figure things out, stay afloat and keep it going. So, if you're interested, let's go out. He put it out there like that. He put it all out there on the table. She wasn't mad, but she said that she didn't like the fact of what he told her off the bat. Cause she came back and told me, she was like, your friend tried to talk to me. I was like, yeah. I said, he's kind of feeling you. I said, he's a good dude. And she was like, but he told me about, he don't make a lot of money and, he's trying to catch up on his bills and, and I'm listening to her and part of me is kind of having a different opinion about her because like, I'm thinking like, okay, this brother has been upfront with you. He is not lying with you. He's telling you the truth. Now she has every right to say, I declined at this time. And that's pretty much what she did. Once he told her that, she was not interested anymore. But I see her point also. Maybe that shouldn't have been his lead off. Maybe he should have went out with her, had that conversation over, dinner or something like that in their first meeting. And she, once they start getting to know each other. But this is like before the initial date. This is the lead up to asking her out on a date. So yeah, I can see her point. It was a little too soon for him to drop that on her. But she did decline, So I see her point, but I see his point too. He laid it all out there. Like, this is who I am. This is what I got. This is what I'm about. And I guess she didn't like the timing of his delivery of that information. So, but I think that's the key thing is like, we have to establish a time frame of when we talk to each other, what we need to expose without feeling embarrassed and understanding that it may come with rejection. But these are the things you need to know. These are the things that matter because a lot of time we get into relationships and we go on 3 to 4 dates and you still know nothing about the person. So when the date gets to the point to where you've actually started to have real feelings for each other, you both are having feelings over false people. It's like you think you know the person because the things they told you is a lie. They basically lied to you. So now you're envisioning what this person is saying. So when you come to find out the reality of what their truth is, now you're having second thoughts about the whole situation. And if you continue with the relationship and you don't discuss what you feel he lied about or she lied about, now you're taking that into the actual relationship where years later, you're having resentment, you're questioning each other, you're doubting things they say. They don't understand why, even though they may feel like, okay, I can be truthful now that we're together because I think she accepts me or he accepts me. But they're thinking like, you lied from the get-go. So all of that has to come into consideration, man. But hey, listen, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with the Simply Straight Talk Show.
Don't even think about it. We got more straight talk just for you. RM Viaging is a company based on life's journey and sharing life lessons with the world in the form of laughter and reflection. Inspiring people to go after their dreams and not giving up on life. RM Viaging creates inspirational music and motivational speeches designed to motivate all age groups. Visit our website at www.rmviaging.com to hear samples of our music. You will also find motivational articles on our blog page titled New Life, New Mind Blog. We also have a weekly podcast hosted by Reggie called Simply Straight Talk, all on our website at www.rmviaging.com.
Are you ready for the straight truth? Reggie, what's the final word for today?
Hey everybody, welcome back, and we're here today with the final word of today's show. Today we talked about getting relationships right. And we talked about it not during the process of the relationship, but during the initial dating stages of the relationship. And that all just comes back to just being honest about who you are and where you are in life. Now, I know for some people that's very uncomfortable. For some people, that's just an area they don't want to go. And I'm not saying you got to do it all on the first date, but as you get to know a person, one of the key things that people need to do in getting to know each other is talking. Talking about where you are, talking about what your plans are, what you're trying to do. Have a clear understanding of the person that you're with. One of the biggest mistakes we make is when we start dating people, we don't ask them about their goals, their plans. We don't stay in that conversation area long. We talk more about where a person is doing as far as fun and activities. We hit the surface level, but we don't get in depth to try to find out the things we need to know about a person. People say don't bring up the past, and I think that's true. There are certain parts of a past of a person you shouldn't bring up, but the things that's going to affect you in the future, the things you're dealing with right now. Sometimes you do have to relay that stuff. You do have to be honest with your partner about where you are in life, honest about your finances, honest about your plans. Don't get involved with somebody if you know that you live in, you live in Atlanta, but you plan on moving to North Carolina, and don't disclose that type of information. If you know that the place you're residing in is temporary, you need to disclose that. Give them the option of whether they want to pursue or if they decide to decline. Because you never know. They may feel like, hey, I'm looking for a change of locations as well. If we kick it that long enough and it works out, we may end up going to the same place and still being together. But the thing is, you have to be honest. You have to be upfront about who you are. And that's not saying on day one, you have to put all your business out there, but you need to be clear so that the other person has a fair opportunity to assess whether or not you're somebody they want to get involved with. They have the right to say, yes, I can accept where you are right now. You got a plan. Okay, you're working on moving in this direction. And even if that person says, listen, we can roll together. Understand where you say you are. You got a plan. You say you're doing what you're doing. But that person can also say, let's see if it works. But also, I want to know, too, that, you say within a year, you're going to be here. Outside of traumatic circumstances or, something drastically affecting your plans, I think I should be in the loop as to whether or not, yes, you are going to have a job. This job is going to turn permanent. Your finances are going to turn around. You are going to finish school. And that person understands that they're not going to be invasive in order to distract you from your plans. They'll be there as an emotional support, but they're not there to actually financially pull you through. After all, you're just starting to date. But my point is, we need to be upfront and honest. Don't build a relationship on lies. When you're dating somebody, don't start the relationship with lies. Don't lie about where you are. Don't lie about your finances. Don't lie about your relationship status. Don't lie about the things you like and don't like to do. Don't lie about your hobbies. Don't lie just to impress somebody, only for them to find out down the line that, you don't like going to the arts. You don't enjoy the movies. You don't enjoy sports. Be truthful about who you are. That's what's going to determine whether you have a lot of problems down the line. When you start lying about who you are as a person, the things you like, the things you don't like, you start lying about the type of people you associate with, you start lying about the activities you do outside of work, where you work, how much money you make. When you start lying about your beliefs, you are creating so many problems that's going to pop up down the line. You can avoid those problems just by being truthful in the beginning. And just understanding that if a person can't deal with it, then it's respectful just to move on. And we have to learn to accept that without feeling like you'd rather be embarrassed now than to be fooled later and having just so much loss, time, resources, all the invested that you spent with somebody just thrown away because you wanted to lie about something that probably if you would have just opened up about and corrected it within the time frame, showed them that you have a plan, explain what your plan was, you might have a better relationship. So you got to keep that in consideration, guys. Hey, this is the Simply Straight Talk Show. This is your host, Reggie Matters. And as always, thank you guys for joining us. Hey, I appreciate the love and support. You guys keep it right here. I promise you, I am definitely going to keep bringing the conversations to you. Hey, I love the fact that the show is growing. You guys are showing great love. And I'm going to do everything I can to keep it coming back to you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out our blog on the New Life, New Mind blog, okay? And check out our website, rmvrgene.com. That's the parent company for the podcast. Hey, you're listening to the Simply Straight Talk Show. Join us here each Friday. Every Friday, we drop a new show. So, look forward to seeing you. Peace.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Simply Straight Talk Show. Connect with us at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to sign up to our newsletter and check out the New Life, New Mind blog at newlifenewmind.com. See you at the next episode.